What's going on, everybody? Welcome back in to another Sunday, which means it's the Triple Play Fantasy Start Sit Show. Here we answer all your burning questions on who you should put in your lineup, who you should leave on your bench, and hopefully everything in between from that. You know me, D Mendio 2 here, joined by my co-host Jacob Dunn at Ain't Done Yet, where the D stands for domain, as he's in his domain again. He's back home after a week of traveling. Jacob, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was awesome, man. It was awesome to see my family. I traveled to Las Vegas. It was beautiful, man. How was your Thanksgiving?
It's pretty good. It was actually the first year that my family hosted it. And so I was able to actually didn't have to travel anywhere. We just
All
played
right.
Thanksgiving football outside, and then we came in,
Nice.
showered, and just watched football and ate. So it was actually kind of
Yeah.
nice for once.
Playing football on Thanksgiving, whether it's with your friends or family, is one of the best traditions, man. I love that.
Yeah, it's great just one time a year to get out there. We talk about it all the time, but to be able to actually play, run routes, and do all that type of stuff is honestly one of my favorite traditions.
Yeah.
So but yeah, Jacob, we gotta ask, what's the coffee mug looking like today?
All right. The coffee is Dunkin' Donuts, man. I just got back from vacation. I don't have my regular craft coffee from my local brew here. So we always have a backup from Dunkin', and Dunkin' is just underrated when it comes to just a base nice coffee. So cheers.
What's the mug say?
It says Killin', which is a local coffee brew where my family is from, just a small little city in Grand Junction, Colorado.
Jacob, how many mugs do you have in your house? Because I'm sure it's a ton.
Too many. I would say over under is at around 25. And
Whew.
I definitely need to purge that closet. But hey, man, I love all these coffee mugs and I want more. I want one that says Triple Play Fantasy. I'm
we
waiting
we
for
had
that.
we had one with the old logo. We have to get
Okay.
some new ones with the actual new logo on it.
I'm all
I,
over it once we get those.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, we're gonna obviously not just talk about coffee. We're gonna talk about some start sit questions, and we're gonna start off with one that was asked to me right before we got on air, Jacob. They have Chase Claypool as their second wideout behind Cooper Kupp, but they're also considering Rashad Bateman. Right now, they're said, Lamar is supposed to be back. Hollywood Brown may or may not play. Would you start Chase Claypool or Rashad Bateman? They did not give context if it's PPR or not.
Okay, so I will say that Marquise Brown is expected to play. Barring like a last second, oh, he's out. Like keep your eye on that. But either way, I do like Rashad Bateman with Lamar Jackson back. I don't trust Claypool just because I don't trust his hamstring. And if you have that nice pivot option to Bateman, I would much rather take that safer floor. Now, Claypool does have that upside. I would take him over a lot of guys, but I would rather have that safer floor with Bateman.
Yes, and for the fellow that asked the question, I'll make sure I give him credit for asking it. It was at DC_Jocelyn. Yeah, I think
Hello.
I do expect Ben Roethlisberger to have a really nice day today. I'm actually
Me
having
too.
him in a lot of DFS lineups. I think Deontay Johnson's going to be the main beneficiary of what we see today.
Yeah,
And like Jacob said, the hamstring with Claypool and the fact that, Najee, Deontay Johnson, he's kind of the third option as far as touches for the football. I think I would rather lean a little bit more towards Rashad Bateman as well.
agreed. Agreed.
All right, let's go to another one that was sent here. This one is from, as I scroll down the timeline here,
You're
Jacob
good.
luckily is a very patient man, which helps a
That's right.
lot.
I got my coffee, man. I am good.
All right, our next one, pick two to start at wide receiver or flex. So this is a two-parter, and this is from at Lowencher88.
Oh.
You have Antonio Gibson, Jerry Judy, and Brandon Ayuk. You get to pick two.
Okay, right away I'm going. I'm going with Brandon Ayuk.
Mm-hmm.
And the first player, who's that?
Antonio Gibson or Jerry Judy is the other one.
Antonio Gibson. Okay, so I'm going with Antonio Gibson against Seattle. That is a run funnel defense. He should have some success today. And he's getting healthier by the week, which is great. And then Brandon Ayuk has just been coming along lately, and they're facing the Vikings, who have been in a lot of shootouts lately, especially last week against the Packers. So I expect some volume for Ayuk. I don't trust Jerry Judy fully. He is getting the targets, but I just don't trust him with Teddy Bridgewater at the helm. I'd rather have Gibson and Ayuk.
Now, let me ask you this. I think people might be interested in Jerry Judy. You're tempering your expectations with him today.
Just a little bit. Now I know that the targets will be there, and he has that upside. So Judy is more of a wide receiver 3 to me, where Brandon Ayuk is a slam dunk wide receiver 2 for me. So I would just rather have Ayuk, just because Judy is a little bit inconsistent. He has been getting the targets, which is fantastic. I would just rather have Ayuk.
This is the Chargers against wide receivers the last 3 weeks. Deontay Johnson, 7 for 101 and a touchdown.
Okay.
Justin Jefferson, 9 for 143. Devonta Smith, 5 for 116 and a touchdown. All wide receivers that have elite separation skills. So Jerry Judy obviously is as good as anybody in separation.
Yeah.
That's the only reason that intrigues me a little bit more for Jerry Judy here. And I know saying Antonio Gibson, sitting him out of those 3 seems really crazy. I'm assuming, again, without context, that it's PPR. And I think these two guys will get a lot. We're definitely on the same with Ayuk, but I'm a little bit more towards Jerry Judy with how the Chargers have struggled recently against the pass and against these types of receivers.
Yeah.
That has me a little bit more towards Judy in this particular case.
I get it. You're just putting your trust into Teddy, which he does like Judy. But, they are at home. It should be I don't think it'll be a shootout. I think that the Broncos get stomped by a good 10 plus points. But, since they will be trailing, Judy is a solid play. I would just rather have Ayuk and Antonio Gibson with that safe floor. But I understand the Judy love.
Okay, and then the second part of this question is pick one quarterback from this mess, and that was his words. Is Ryan Tannehill, Daniel Jones, or Zach Wilson?
Daniel Jones. I think his upside with his rushing with his rushing floor, and Sterling Shepard isn't playing, but they said that Galladay is going to get a lot of targets now that Jason Garrett is gone. So I would rather lean towards Daniel Jones, especially with that safety blanket of Saquon Barkley. I can't trust Tannehill against the Patriots with no AJ Brown, no Julio, no nothing. I think that Tannehill has just a mediocre to below average day. I think he's quarterback 21 for me this week, which he's usually in that quarterback 14 to 18. So I don't have much confidence in him. But Daniel Jones with that rushing floor, it gives him a nice little baseline.
I 100% agree with you. I think also you have new offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens. They're going to bring some new stuff they haven't shown all season, which hopefully lead to a better day for him. Also, the matchup with the Eagles. Eagles are good against wide receivers, bad against tight ends, and mediocre against running backs. So I think, he could run the ball, like you said, the rushing floor, and I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Next one here from at J Galligan _WB. Pick 2, DJ Moore, Elijah Moore, and Miles Sanders.
DJ Moore for sure. That's 100% lock. And now it's between Elijah Moore and Miles Sanders. It's hard to not pick the running back, but I am going to go with Elijah Moore with Corey Davis out. Zach Wilson's return actually does put a little bit of a dent on these Jets wideouts. Earlier today, I was deciding, this is ugly, but I was deciding between Laviska Shenault and Jamison Crowder. I was going to pick Crowder until I saw that Wilson is a go. And I would rather have Flacco in with these wide receivers, because we saw what Elijah Moore did last week. We saw what Crowder did last week with Joe Flacco. So, but I think that Wilson has been learning. He knows that Elijah Moore is a talent. So I'm going to lean Elijah Moore. So yeah, I'll go with Moore. I'll go with the Moore brothers.
If you'd mentioned, if it was anybody besides Zach Wilson starting, I think I would have gone Elijah Moore. But Zach Wilson there scares me. Yeah, and I also think this is Miles Sanders' week. I think this is he coming off of 16 carries for over 90 yards last week. Most carries he's gotten, and it might have been all season, actually. I have to double check that. But they're committed to running the ball. Jordan Howard is inactive for this game. But, Boston Scott might spell him occasionally, and Kenneth Gainwell will get some catches. But I think Miles Sanders has 20 touches in him today, Jacob. And going against that Giants secondary, or going against that Giants defense that's 5th worst against running backs this season, I think this is the Miles Sanders breakout game. And anytime I have a chance to start him today, I am. Whether that's for good or for bad, the Eagles have completely changed their offensive philosophy. And I think that's going to be really much in Miles Sanders' favor. And again, seeing 16 carries in his first game last week has me very encouraged for what we
Yeah.
could see today.
The
So
Eagles have definitely changed up their game plan and are running it a lot more. Ever since like Miles Sanders went down, they have been running it more, even with Jordan Howard and Boston Scott. So Sanders does have that nice floor.
all right, here's an interesting one for you, Jacob. This is from @JGus1967. Need two of these between Donta Foreman, David Johnson, or Tevin Coleman. But the trick here is it's 0.5 PPR and 0.5 rush. So every single time someone gets a carry, they get 0.5. So are you looking at between the Deonta Foreman, David Johnson, and Tevin Coleman, which of the two would you rather have?
So right away, I am canceling out Tevin Coleman. I'm choosing between David Johnson.
No, you pick both. You pick two.
Oh, okay. Well then, I'm going with David Johnson and Deonta Foreman. Deonta Foreman is my favorite out of that group, just because with all of the Titans wideouts missing, I think that the Titans are going to run a lot, and the Patriots are also going to run a lot. So I think this is just going to be an ugly game to watch, except if you love running. So I think that, and it's there was a report this morning saying that Foreman is going to get the bulk of carries, as you saw, I'm sure. So, that's very encouraging to hear, just because they don't have anyone else. They have Hilliard for the, for the pass catching downs and stuff, which he should be involved today, but Foreman has that nice floor. And if you're getting points per rush, then Foreman's your guy. And David Johnson, he seems to have that backfield all to himself, just with no Phillip Lindsay anymore. Like Scotty Phillips is down. There's no Mark Ingram. It seems to be his backfield, which bodes well for at least 10 plus carries, if not more, and Tyrod's back. So that helps with, like the Texans will want to establish that run game. So I'll go with David Johnson and Foreman.
Yeah, you have to look at that Jets defense that have been the worst, maybe record-setting worst against running backs this year, giving nearly 40 points per game to the position. And they've given up 15 touchdowns over the last 4 games alone. So that any Texans running, I think you'll see some Texans running backs and play. Rex Burkhead's there too, but you'll see some Texans running backs definitely be floated around. But any Texans running back in this type of situation, I'll definitely take the flyer on. I'm with you on those two as well. I think Foreman and DJ are the plays. I think Ty Johnson's getting a little bit more buzz when it comes to the Jets running backs today. All right, next one. This is also a little bit of a tricky one here, Jacob. Running back, 0.5 PPR. Wide receiver, regular PPR. Tight end, 1.5 PPR. Who to start at flex? You get to pick 2 names here.
Okay.
Hunter Henry, Westbrook-Ikhine, Deonta Foreman, Kendrick Bourne, and Kenny Golladay.
Okay, so I have some hopes for Kenny Golladay today. As we were saying earlier, they said that they're going to target Golladay a bunch. And actually, I learned yesterday that the plan at the beginning of the season was for the Giants to just pepper Golladay with targets. But Jason Garrett quickly went away from that, and now they want to get back to that. So, if Daniel Jones can get the ball to Golladay is another story, but at least Golladay is going to get those targets. So I want that safe floor with Golladay. Now with the other choices, can you name them off one more time?
Yes. Okay. So I'm with you on Golladay. So then pick one of these next 4: Hunter Henry, Westbrook-Ikhine, Deonta Foreman, and Kendrick Bourne.
Okay. So I'm going to go with Hunter Henry, since this is a tight end premium league, and he is playing today. He was injured leading up to this week, but he's expected to play. And I think that Henry gets relied upon in this game. So I would go with Hunter Henry, and I would also go with, I don't know why I'm blanking on the other guy that we just chose, Kenny Golladay. Okay, so Henry and Golladay.
Those are the 2 I picked as well. I think, like you said, tight end premium makes it more attractive to have Hunter Henry there. And Deonta Foreman isn't going to get catches. So you're kind of, I think those are the 2 names there. Now a more normal question from @RotoRay_LAD. Stevenson versus the Titans or Kittle versus the Vikings in the flex?
Oh, it's Kittle all day. Just because Damian Harris is expected to play. So, that's just going to be a muddied up backfield. I think they both get 12 to 14 carries, which does give Stevenson a nice floor. Stevenson has been coming along, but I can't justify starting Stevenson over George Kittle. George Kittle is just a beast.
If Stevenson had that backfield to himself, then I think it might be a little different. But right
Yes.
now, I have a couple rosters where I have both of these guys because I
Okay.
drafted Harris, and then in the
Same.
preseason I took Stevenson and was like, this is the handcuff,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I don't know if I can play either of them. I'm like, they're
No.
gonna cannibalize each other, and I think
Right.
Kittle. You've seen him since he's been back; he's been very consistent, and I
Right.
think that makes that the easier play there.
Yes.
Next one from at BK211992. If Aaron Jones plays, would you play him over Javonte? And if Aaron Jones sits, would you play AJ Dillon over Javonte?
Yes to both. I love Javonte Williams. You know that, David. I hope all of you know that who's watching. Just I can't trust Javonte over, a running back that has the backfield all to himself. Like AJ Dillon, if he plays, he doesn't have the backfield all to, or Aaron Jones, if he plays, he doesn't have the backfield all to himself because he's sharing it with AJ Dillon. But Aaron Jones, if he plays, is going to be uh, a part of that pass catching offense. And this Packers Rams game has the feels of a high scoring game. So I do think that Aaron Jones gets enough targets and carries to be the guy that you choose if he plays. If Aaron Jones doesn't play and it's AJ Dillon, it's 100% AJ Dillon. That would give me the most confidence in starting AJ Dillon if he has that backfield all to himself. But both I would play over Javonte no matter the circumstance.
I definitely am with you on the AJ Dillon part. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. This has been floated around for the first time in a few weeks. That is Javonte Williams week. And this has been said before. This has been said probably at least 2 or 3 other times this season.
Yeah, yeah.
But coming off of the bye, Melvin Gordon does have contract incentives that I've heard people mention. If he hits his contract incentives, that he might want to save his body for his next contract when he's a free agent in the offseason and he'll make the business decision to not play.
Hmm.
Do you think that off the bye, they're going against the Chargers, who have allowed 145.1 rushing yards per game, which is the worst in the NFL? Do you think this is finally Javonte Williams' week?
No, I can't say it, man. I can't say it. I've been burned too many times. Just because, like, I want each week to be a Javonte Williams week, but it's always split right down the middle. And with the Broncos still technically in the playoff hunt at 5-5, I think that Vic Fangio is so stubborn that he's going to play who he wants to play, and that's he's going to keep starting Teddy Bridgewater. He's going to keep running out just a combo of Melvin and Javonte and just splitting the work in half. Javonte does have that upside. Each week he does have that 80 yards for a touchdown upside, okay? But you just don't know because the Broncos just split the snaps in half every single game, and I can't trust that for him to break out. Now he is a low end RB2 for me because I do think he gets 10 to 12, 2 to 12 rushes. He finds the end zone. I don't think it's like a breakout week, like 100+ yards for 2 touchdowns. But he's a nice flyer on a DFS, but I can't, I have to start him in a few leagues, but I just can't fully trust that he's going to have a breakout week. I'm sorry to all of you Javonte truthers, but I'm also a Javonte truther, but it's not coming until there's a Melvin injury or next year.
Yeah, we're anxiously waiting. I think this
No.
might be the last hurrah, though, Jacob. I think if it doesn't happen this week, like you said, barring a Melvin Gordon injury,
Right.
we're all checked out on that until 2022. This is like
Agreed.
coming off the bye, going against the worst team against the run this year statistically. If it doesn't happen this week, barring injury, yeah, I'm not hyping this up again anytime soon.
And
All
I'm
right.
surprised to hear that the Chargers have a terrible run defense just because there's Joey Bosa there, and like just like the Chargers defense is underrated. So that's surprising to me. And the Broncos offensive line has been playing better, but still, man, like you said, just can't trust Javonte to have this week. If he doesn't have it this week, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think the Chargers also had a couple injuries with like one of their linebackers and one of their defensive linemen that I think has a big impact. Like it's one of those you take 1 or 2 guys off and there's a huge statistical difference.
Yeah.
I'm not deep enough into the Chargers to know who those guys are. I just remember I've seen that floated
Yeah.
around. So, again, we'll have to see how that plays out. Next one here from Seti Vincent. Chenault or MVS PPR?
All right, this is a great question. Like MVS does have that upside versus the Rams today. He has that big play ability. So I think he does have a safe floor because he got 10 targets last week. Man, I think this might be a good week for Laviska Shenault, which is weird coming out of my mouth because I said I wouldn't trust him rest of season. But Jamal Agnew is out for the season, so Chenault's going to be shifted back into the slot, which he thrives in the slot. And I think they're going to manufacture touches for Chenault, and they're facing just a sorry Falcons defense, which I think that the Jaguars can pass on this team. So I think that Chenault has a safer floor. So if you need that big boom upside, then MVS is your guy. But in a vacuum, I'm going to go with the safe floor of Chenault and just hope he gets that, and just hope that Chenault just gets a bunch of big chunk yardage. So I'll go with Chenault there.
Yeah, I'm with Shenault as well. I think he's playing in the slot a lot more, which is going to help him be able to produce a lot more than we've seen in the past. He's definitely one of those guys that when he's not in the slot, he's not doing nearly as much. So I like that call. This one was just sent in now. 2 PPR questions. Already starting Melvin Gordon. Do you start Miles Sanders or Javonte Williams as your other back?
Okay. So I think we both agree, David, that we got to start Miles Sanders no matter what. So he is locked in, because he has that backfield all to himself. We want that safe floor. PPR, he should do well today. Now it's between Melvin Gordon and Javonte. I always, every week now, I lean slightly towards Melvin Gordon, which hurts my heart a little bit, but it's just that Vic Fangio wants to play his veterans. He wants to have a boring offense where he knows that he can trust his veterans. So I'm going to go with Melvin Gordon there, and just hope that he gets those goal line touches. But I would rather trust Melvin over Javonte and start Sanders for sure.
Well, in another league too, he has the Miles Sanders there for flex. Miles Sanders, Jalen Waddle, or Ty Johnson. I'm also a Miles Sanders for that one.
I'm also Miles Sanders as well. Like Waddle is tempting, but I would rather go with Sanders in that safe floor.
All right, on the same page with that one, let's go to another comment here. This is from my buddy Nick Civale at Nico Siva1. We got Rashad Bateman, Tim Patrick, or Jarvis Landry in PPR.
I'm going to go with Rashad Bateman just because we talked about it earlier. Lamar Jackson is back. Hollywood Brown is expected to play, but I think his presence just helps Bateman, like in the slot. So I'll go with Bateman there.
I 100% agree with you as well. I think Landry helped out by the rushing touchdown last week. He looks completely done. Tim Patrick, I think Jerry Judy's going to get a lot of the targets today. We don't have to go too long on this part, but I think it's very interesting how irrelevant Cortland Sutton is when Jerry Judy's in the lineup. It's absolutely. I think he has like 9 combined points in his last 3 games or something ridiculous like that.
And that speaks to Teddy Bridgewater. He just can't air it out to Sutton. He's going to trust his short slot guys with Judy and with Patrick. So, Sutton does have that upside, but Patrick could be just a safer play, even though that's not the question. But yeah, exactly, man. Sutton is just irrelevant right now, which is insane.
Yeah. Here's one for you, Jacob. Start one full PPR. We'll go in 2 different scenarios here. AJ Dillon versus the Rams, Elijah Mitchell versus the Vikings, and Ramondre Stevenson versus the Titans. Now, AJ Dillon versus the Rams, I'm assuming he's your answer if Aaron Jones doesn't play. If Aaron Jones does play, are you still picking AJ Dillon out of this group?
Can you name the second choice again?
Elijah Mitchell.
Okay. If Elijah Mitchell plays, so if AJ Dillon has the backfield all to himself, it is AJ Dillon 100%. If he doesn't have this backfield all to himself, I lean towards Elijah Mitchell just because the Niners run that guy into the ground. And if he's healthy enough to play, then I do see him getting 15 touches this game against the Vikings, which is a solid matchup in and itself. So I'm going to go with Elijah Mitchell if Aaron Jones plays. If Aaron Jones sits, then it's AJ Dillon.
100% with you on that, Jacob. And Elijah Mitchell right now is expected to play from reports, so he should be in the lineup today. Next one for you at Catch 22 Mo. Dontrell Hilliard or Naheem Hines for one league, and then Dontrell Hilliard or Ronald Jones for another league.
Whew. Dontrell Hilliard or Naheem Hines. I'm gonna go with Naheem Hines. They're facing the Buccaneers this week, and the Buccaneers can be had by the RBs here, especially through the air. And Wentz is going to rely on Hines. Especially if they get down early. So I like Hines a little bit better than Hilliard, especially with Foreman expected to get the bulk of carries, and also the Patriots are a tough defense. So I will definitely go with Naheem Hines there. And then it's Hilliard or Stevenson?
Hilliard or Ronald Jones?
Hilliard or Ronald Jones? That's a really tough question, man. That's a good one. Ronald Jones scored last week. He does, he does have like that sneaky upside. But Hilliard should get a lot of passing work, but I don't fully trust Hilliard. So I think I'll go with a very safe option in Jones and hope he gets that goal line work and he gets like 10 plus touches. So give me Ronald Jones.
All right. I might lean a little bit towards Hilliard in the second one, but I understand that with Jones having scored last week, Hilliard's also a huge question mark.
Right.
He's gonna probably get passing downs work with Jeremy McNichols not playing, but it's definitely kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel here in week 12.
Very much so.
I'm gonna throw some rapid fire at you, Jacob, as we got our last couple minutes here. Mitchell or Fournette?
I'll go with Fournette. I think he gets a bulk of carries, so I'll go with Fournette. Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers or Cam Newton?
Cam Newton. Love Cam this week against the Dolphins. Love that rushing floor. Let's go Cam.
With you. Javonte Williams or Elijah Moore? Standard scoring.
Javonte Williams. I like that. I like that safe floor.
All right. Elijah Mitchell. We've got Hilliard again or Chase Claypool?
Elijah Mitchell for me. If he is expected to play, I like him over Claypool.
All right. Dan Arnold or Mike Gesicki PPR?
Mike Gesicki. He bounces back. Let's go.
Jerry Judy or Jalen Waddle?
I'll go with Jalen Judy. I think he's safer than Judy.
Or
I'll go with Jalen Waddle. He's safer than Judy. Man, this rapid fire got me.
That was funny. I was like, which one did you pick? Yeah. Devonta Freeman or Kareem Hunt?
I'll go with Kareem Hunt. I like him coming back against a nice matchup this week.
All right, a couple more. Melvin Gordon or Adam Thielen, 0.5 PPR?
Adam Thielen. I think this is going to be a quietly high-scoring game with the Niners.
A.J. Dillon or Jeff Wilson, PPR?
A.J. Dillon, because even if Aaron Jones plays, Dillon's going to see 10 to 15 touches still.
All right. Jacob Dunn, you are off the hot seat. Nice job with the rapid fire. Anything you would like to leave the people as we head into a very busy week 12?
Man, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving, guys. And, I hope you all had a wonderful holiday, and I hope you guys are just on your game with this week in week 12, because I know it's easy to forget with all the family time and with, like the holidays just passed, but man, every game counts. So let's get after it.
That's right. And right now we are 3 weeks left of the regular season before the fantasy playoffs in most standard leagues here. So this is grind time. You got to get these last couple W's, make these lineup decisions that are going to give you that win that you never know how long of a way it's going to go to getting to you where you need to be. Make sure you set those lineups. Make sure you take your, I guess you can't say take your Thursday players out of the flex spot today, but
yeah,
as the standard fantasy advice goes there.
That's right.
But yeah, make sure you're keeping up with the show each and every week, Sundays at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Make sure you're staying updated with trends. Look ahead at future schedules. Who's got good matchups? You can pick up guys a week or two early. All that stuff is important to make sure you win your leagues. But I speak for Jacob when I say we appreciate you guys each and every week coming and joining the show. And if you leave a comment and your comment's not being seen, you're probably leaving on the Twitter, which means we will not see it. So if you would like your comment to be read on air, just please make sure you go to the YouTube stream, where that way we can see them, we can post them up, and we can interact with you there. Yes. All right. So everybody, good luck in week 12, and we will see you guys next Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, hopefully with another W in your back pocket.